As a nurse, I've seen a lot of people with sleep deprivation. It affects their job, their home life. At Room to Room, we want to take the guesswork out of buying a mattress, and that's why we brought in this technology. It shows you what you need. We want to do the assessment and find exactly what's perfect for you.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Being a parent, especially for the first time, with that comes a lot of self-doubt. As a dad, I just try to lead by example. When you're trying to be the best person that you can be, your kids see that and then they emulate that.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, welcome to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Caleb Edelblut here in the Room to Room Weather Center, and it has been I'd say perfect Friday. It depends. Some of us stayed dry, but also some of us received a lot of rainfall, a lot of long-awaited rainfall that we've needed here in Mississippi. A little bit too much at times, prompting some flash flood advisories, but thankfully that rain is moving on out, allowing for better conditions. But we have improved weather conditions are on the way, not only for this evening, but also into the rest of the weekend and pretty much the end of the work week. It's something that we will be discussing here in the broadcast within the next few minutes. But also, Gabe is live in South Pontotoc. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, out there at the game of the week, South Pontotoc versus Okolona. It should be a good game, and thankfully with a lot better conditions. But also, very important, voting will end at the end of this broadcast as far as who gets cheer of the week, who gets band of the week. Y'all can't decide the result of the football game, but y'all definitely can with the band and cheer squad of the week. So make sure to go vote. Y'all still got a few minutes. I love to talk, so until this broadcast ends is how long voting will stand within the next few minutes. So make sure to go out there and give it a vote. But taking a look out of this live look out in Cleveland, Cleveland has been experiencing some rain showers with this second batch of moisture. They received a hefty batch earlier on today, but getting one more as we continue into the evening. But 72 degrees feels like 68 at 6 o'clock on a Friday evening. So it's still a little bit rainy out there. Got to let the last bit of moisture move on out, but perfect conditions are in store for y'all as y'all continue into the evening. Taking a look at the first 12 across North Mississippi, still some of those lingering showers will be the story as we start off our evening, but those dry conditions will return as we progress further into the evening. 74 degrees by the time we're wrapping up those evening plans, getting ready and back in our house and getting ready for bed. But then overnight, dropping back down towards the low 70s, upper 60s, and then we can see some patchy fog as we get started for our Saturday. But as mentioned, Gabe is live in South Pontotoc right now. He was talking about dry conditions were in store, especially for homecoming. It looks like it's held off so far.
Yeah, so far so good, Caleb. Staying on the drier side, and as you can see, some of that blue peeking off on the horizon. So we are getting enjoyable conditions, and folks in Pontotoc talking about the fact that it was a miserable forecast to start, actually getting way, way better and continues to stay better into our evening forecast for our game of the week. But it's also homecoming here in South Pontotoc. You can see wrapping up pictures there behind me. It's a homecoming court. Definitely excited to have the busy day today, but it's all busy in a good way because we all love our homecoming festivities. Tailgates as well set up, and they have the tents just in case things get a little dicey, but we don't have any rainfall in that forecast. And of course, on the football field, the guys are getting ready to take the field and enjoy what should be a fantastic game between South Pontotoc versus Okolona. Now, this series is currently 4-10 in favor of Okolona in the all-time record. And when we talk about those individual records, South Pontotoc still needing a big win on their schedule, and unfortunately so far have not gotten it. Okolona, not much better. 1-2 right now whenever we're comparing that 2025 schedule. So folks in Okolona ready for a win, and folks in South Pontotoc, I'm trying to make this, there we go down just a bit. Folks in South Pontotoc ready for a win as well. They both say this is the best chance to get it. Both teams hungry and ready to make it happen. And as you can see, preparing there on the field behind me, just a great shot of the teams in action with the beauty as well. So we will continue to assess the Game of the Week highlights and, of course, your Game of the Week forecast coming up on the 6 o'clock broadcast. But we are definitely excited, Caleb, to get kickoff going. We are currently 56 minutes and 12 seconds away So we'll be counting down heading into that 7 o'clock time frame. But I know you're tracking back there a few showers. Fortunately, not here in Pontotoc, and no complaints about. We'll touch base here in just a moment. Live at your game of the week, Gabe Maynor, Mississippi Live Weather.
Well, we appreciate the update, Gabe. I'm excited everyone was able to stay dry, not only for the start of the game, but definitely for those homecoming pictures. I know weather tends to pop up in the worst way for those pictures, but thankfully holding off. Taking a look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar, you can definitely see no rain is affecting those out in South Pontotoc, but that moisture out here in the Delta, I'll even move to the other side that we can just take it all in. Pretty much that second batch of moisture, nothing really organized to track here. It's just hefty moisture, not like the systems that we saw come through North Mississippi earlier, some strong cells and thunderstorms, a few warned with those flash flood warnings, but just pretty much a batch of moisture giving some much needed rainfall out there in the Delta. But from North Mississippi, we are staying dry. But we keep talking about those rain chances and, well, coming up, but all the rain that happened Friday, most of North Mississippi stayed dry. It was just those local, just pop-up cells that made their way through. And we can start tallying this up just a little bit. The most meaningful rainfall, let's see if I can get it right, was out there just past the Mississippi River into Arkansas, 8.5 inches as it was making its way into Mississippi. So they definitely got prompted with some flash flood warnings, aerial flood advisories earlier today. That was 8.5 out there. Let's look just west of Clarksdale, 8.6. So definitely meaningful rainfall out there across the Mississippi River and starting to enter into the Delta. But then we had some stronger cells pop up just outside of Tupelo, 2.2 inches. And then definitely in Pontotoc earlier today, Gabe was talking about that drowsy forecast at the start of the day, 2.4 inches out there. But thankfully, a lot drier as we continue into the evening as well. So definitely some much needed rainfall, but for most of us here in North Mississippi, we stay dry. Taking a look at Futurecast, you can see that batch of moisture still making its way through the Mississippi River into the Delta, but it's just not going to stick around for long. Pretty much just, it's like there's a wall cutting it off, staying dry and staying in the Delta, while most of us here in North Mississippi stay dry into the evening hours. Some random pop-up showers, maybe trying to give a sprinkle or two, nothing meaningful and nothing like a downpour we experienced earlier on today. Taking a look as we continue into the evening as well, pretty much mostly clear conditions will be the story overnight, with that cloud cover trying to build back in as we get more into our Saturday morning as well. But you got to sleep in before you start seeing that cloud cover. Taking a look at the next 24, pretty much dry conditions. We will maybe see some pop-up showers, those bubbling of cells that I like to call during these, I guess, summertime in Mississippi. We're closer to fall now, but little pop-up showers can't be ruled out for our Saturday afternoon. But for most of North Mississippi, we're staying dry. We're going to start off with maybe some localized patchy fog in the morning, but we will start warming up into the mid 70s, upper 80s, low 90s by the time we get towards those peak heating hours before starting to cool off once we get towards our 6 o'clock broadcast tomorrow for our Saturday. But it should be a beautiful Saturday in store for us here in North Mississippi. But I keep mentioning about these improved weather conditions. When can we expect them? What is going to happen over this weekend for both our Saturday and Sunday, and what to look forward to in the work week? All of that coming up in 1 minute.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Caleb Edelblut.
Well, thanks for sticking here with us at Mississippi Live Weather at 6. Here is another amazing photo sent in by Johnny, this time out in Saltillo, pretty much showing the same system that moved through Tupelo with that picture we showed at 5 o'clock by Teresa. But this just showed, he sent the description, was showing heavy rain, heavy wind, and some pea-sized hail. So definitely nothing big and impactful severe hail-wise, but definitely did see some of that pea-sized hail start falling, just showing already a bunch of standing water with how fast it came down. The ground was not ready to pretty much absorb all of that as it came crashing down with those downpours. So big thanks to Johnny out there for sending that in from Saltillo. But taking a look at the high school game of the week presented by Casey Lott, we are seeing favorable conditions as we get started for all our Friday night games across North Mississippi. Still some of those rain showers trying to affect us as we get closer towards kickoff, and especially out there in the Delta, but still seeing drier conditions by the time we get towards halftime and towards the final snap. And of course, Gabe is still out there. Kickoff almost underway, seeing those clear conditions right now.
Yeah, Caleb, seeing those clear conditions up in the sky, but the fans are loading the stands. And I do want to say before we get going, our Spirit Squad vote ending very soon. They are excited, and you guys need to submit your votes because you guys still need some votes. So tell them. All right. You heard him. SP needs your votes, so go ahead and submit those. You have a few minutes. Caleb, as long as you want to talk for, that's as long as those votes will last for. But this is our Mississippi Live Weather Game of the Week in South Pontotoc, watching the Cougars take on Okolona. And I have to showcase this because the artistic skills definitely showing off, as you can see right here. Check it out. Got the logo representing. And today's forecast, a Cougar W. Will that be as well? That remains to be seen. But definitely up in the skies, it is a great forecast, and I would say a W in and of itself. But so many of those signs, we're just so excited to be in South Pontotoc for our game of the week. Again, kickoff happening in 49 minutes between Okolona and South Pontotoc. Two teams needing a win. But this isn't the only game we're watching here in North Mississippi. Our Will Kohlmeyer joining us live in Tupelo for more on what to expect from where he's at.
All right, we are back here at 6 o'clock here at Tupelo High School. We talked about at the 5 o'clock that the top-ranked Golden Wave left around 4 o'clock this afternoon, heading over to that big game in Oxford against another undefeated team and highly ranked team, the Oxford Chargers, one of the better high school games. Of course, next week, this will be the place to be as West Point comes calling, the two defending state champs. Especially if Tupelo can win tonight against Oxford, that'll be the game of the week by far in the state of Mississippi and one of the top in the entire Southeast. But we talked high school at 5. Let's talk some college here at 6 o'clock. Alabama does not play this week. They have 2 weeks to get ready for that huge game against Georgia next weekend. Both Ole Miss and Mississippi State are at home. The Bulldogs are at home against Northern Illinois. Yes, that's a Northern Illinois team that beat Notre Dame last year. The only loss for the Irish until they lost in the national championship game. But, of course, with NIL and the transfer portal, there's a lot of key pieces missing from that team a year ago for Northern Illinois. Bulldogs playing really good football. Obviously came back focused last week. Obviously they were much better team than Alcorn State, but I liked their focus coming out, scoring on the second play of the game, and they didn't look back from there. Much more difficult assignment this week with Northern Illinois. Like the Bulldogs, though, at home, and that'll make them 4-0, getting ready for that huge tussle against nationally ranked Tennessee next weekend at Davis-Wade Stadium. And then over in Oxford, yes, we talked about the Tupelo at Oxford game tonight in high school football. The Rebels take center stage tomorrow. They've got Tulane in town, the Green Wave under head coach John Sumrall. He's been rumored already in his second year at Tulane to be one of the at least the viable candidates for an SEC coaching job next year. But this weekend, he's got a terrific quarterback. Remember, he's the guy that transferred him from BYU, and they will try to give the Rebels some trouble, but I still like Ole Miss at home in this one. Shambliss showed me so much last week playing for the injured Austin Simmons at quarterback, and I like the Rebels winning this one at home. But for now, that's the story here in Tupelo, and big night of high school football. Safe travels, everyone.
Well, thank you, Will. I'm a big fan of those picks, and now I guess I'm supposed to talk about those weather conditions for those SEC football games. Taking a look at Mississippi State out at Starkville, another home game for the Bulldogs hosting NIU, starting off afternoon game, 92 degrees, but we'll start slowly cooling on down as you get closer and closer towards the final snap, maybe walking out of that stadium with a win in the mid 80s. Same thing out here in Oxford as well, a home game and an afternoon game, starting off around 90 degrees, pretty much sticking in the low 90s and around 90 during the entire game, and then seeing those upper 80s start popping up by the time y'all are walking out of the stadium, hopefully with a win as well. Definitely need SEC teams to keep getting their wins across North Mississippi. But I'm covering up the moisture that I need to talk about. Looking at Futurecast, most of that moisture is out in the Delta. Any moisture that we're seeing out here in northeast Mississippi is pretty much in overcast, cloudy skies. Thankfully, maybe a little hole out there towards New Albany, but you can see that moisture is going to continue making its way into North Mississippi, but it's still just, it's got a wall. It's just not making it towards Grenada and anywhere further. It's sticking in the Delta, giving some last minute rain chances out there. And then we are seeing dry conditions continue for North Mississippi. Maybe some slivers of rain, maybe providing some sprinkles if it doesn't evaporate before it reaches the ground. But pretty much dry conditions will be the story overnight, transitioning into those mostly clear conditions by the time we're waking up early for our Saturday morning, if you want to. Low temperatures still above average, pretty much mid to upper 60s for most of our viewing areas. Starting off the day, already warm and above average, and that trend unfortunately continuing into the weekend as well. Taking a look at Futurecast, you can see those mostly clear conditions continue with that cloud cover starting to build in from the southwest. That's going to push into our area as we get closer and closer towards lunchtime, and then that cloud cover is still very prominent for most of us. It's almost like Highway 6 and north. You can see those clear conditions, but if you're south of Highway 6, you're starting to see those cloudy conditions as you progress into your Saturday. Now, once we get closer towards those afternoon peak heating hours, this has been the trend as we've continued into the work week. We start seeing what I like to call these bubbles of storms pop up. It's not an organized system. It's not a line moving through the area, but maybe some localized, just little cells to give you some rain chances as you continue into your Saturday evening. I know for Starkville, y'all are definitely wanting to stay away from that for y'all's football game tomorrow, but thankfully that's more affecting us towards the end of the evening, or well, technically start of the evening, end of the afternoon. But little pockets of showers may try to pop up across North Mississippi as we reach the end of our Saturday. But those highs, still above average. We are still feeling toasty here in North Mississippi as we officially wrap up summer in the next few days. Pretty much mid 90s across most of the viewing area. Red Bay coming in 90, looking the best right now. 96 in Columbus, 94 in Starkville, Golden Triangle region. So still very toasty conditions out there. Those heat indices not helping us much out either, not even dropping us a degree or two, still pretty much keeping us consistent with those actual temperatures. But thankfully, that summer mugginess, we are definitely leaving that behind as we get closer and closer to fall. But coming back to Futurecast, seeing those bubbles of rain still try to kind of pop up across North Mississippi. They're going to continue to do so until we get into the evening. Then we see pretty much dry conditions, except a select few out in Greenwood and Chula, maybe even Greenville getting some last minute showers. But as we continue into the evening, those showers are really going to be pesky, trying to maybe give some constant sprinkles overnight. But I fear most of us will continue to see those dry conditions continue into our Sunday as well. Beautiful conditions as we start up for our morning church commute. Now, this is where I start to disagree just a little bit with the models, and this is what we need to pay attention to and watch closely this weekend. This is where we're going to see most of our action for Sunday. And I'd be curious to see how this changes between Saturday and into Sunday as well. I do think Sunday we get a lot of showers, the best chances of showers this weekend. But I don't think it starts as early as 1:30. I think this may be later in the afternoon as of now. So something we need to keep watching. This is something more I expect. Definitely some bigger organization of some showers. Not expecting much of anything severe. They're going to continue pushing across North Mississippi, affecting us as we continue into the evening as well. And even once we get towards the 10 o'clock broadcast for our Sunday night, you can see our counties out there in Alabama and Franklin and Marion and some of Lamar as well, getting those showers. So still pretty rainy forecast for our Sunday before it decides to move on out as we get into the early Monday morning hours towards the start of the work week. Those high temperatures Sunday, that rain not helping most of us out. We would love to see that rain cool air towards the evening hours, but those peak heating hours are still going to affect us. Still above average in the 90s, mid 90s for most of North Mississippi, and those heat indices keeping us right there in the mid 90s as well. Greenville 96, Greenwood 96. Clarksdale, there we go. I think you're the winner for this graphic, 97 degrees. So we haven't officially left summer, and Mississippi is making us remember that. But taking a look at the 7-day forecast, this is where we start to see those better conditions that I promised at the beginning of the forecast. I'm not a liar. I'm about to show you right now. So we can still see those above average conditions continue into the weekend and start of the work week, those rain chances Sunday will be the best chances that we can see them. See dry conditions for Monday, the rain coming back Tuesday and Wednesday. Notice it's 40%, the best percent we can see right now, chance of thunderstorms. And there we go, mid 80s starting to make their way back in the forecast. More of those seasonable temperatures starting to make their way back in the forecast. You can see our normal lows around 63, normal high 86, and we are starting to finally get back towards that pretty much fall weather as we get into the next work week. But don't head out from here yet. I need to give y'all an update on the tropics because we are also in peak hurricane season for a season that hasn't gone the way it was forecasted to do so in a great way. So I'll make sure to give you everything you need to know coming up in 1 minute.
Big out-of-state law firms treat you just like another case number. At Langston and Lott, we do things differently. We're your local lawyers right here in North Mississippi. We know this community because we're a part of it. When you call us, you talk to us, not some call center overseas. When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Well, thanks for sticking here with us at Mississippi Live Weather at 6. As promised, I want to give y'all an update on the tropics, especially because we're getting closer and closer. Well, we're technically in peak hurricane season, but this is where we can start seeing more activity start popping up during this time of the year. So we did have Tropical Storm Gabrielle form earlier this work week. I've been talking a lot about it in my tropical meteorology course at Mississippi State. But as we take a look at the spaghetti plots, kind of forecasting with all the different model runs where this can go, there is a strong trend in pretty much every single model run that it's going to be another fish storm is what I like to call them, and what a bunch of us in the meteorology field say. It's not affecting the United States, making a landfall anywhere near us. It's just affecting the fish out in the ocean. So thankfully, we are not seeing many of these hurricanes, tropical storms make landfall in the United States. That has been the trend that we've seen across hurricane season, but it pretty much takes a northwesterly track before going north, then northeast, and then making its way all the way back across the Atlantic, making almost a round trip from where it started. So definitely good news to see with Gabrielle out there in the Atlantic Ocean. And we can track this with our moisture plot, if I can press it one more time. There we go, atmospheric moisture, showing where pretty much the abundance of that moisture is. This is where Tropical Storm Gabrielle currently is out in the Atlantic Ocean. But I'll step back just so you can also see, compared to the United States, how far away it is, but showing that it's not really going to affect us much, maybe cause some wave heights or riptide conditions along the East Coast, but still pretty far off to where those should be very minimal as we continue into the work week, or start of the work week now, Monday by 2:30 in the morning, still kind of growing in strength, becoming a little bit more intense, but thankfully far, far away from the United States coastline. And that trend is just going to continue pushing off into the Atlantic Ocean as well. And just wanted to still stand over here. I'm not really pointing at it, but showing how far away from the United States East Coast it is before it starts diminishing as we get further and further into the work week as well. That is around Wednesday at 6 o'clock. But notice we need to start seeing if there's any other pockets of moisture starting to pop up on this graphic. We have another disturbance. I'm covering up the chances right now. 0% chance of forming within the next 48 hours. This is still kind of in a similar spot where Gabrielle started to be forecasted to become a disturbance. 20% as of right now for the next 7 days. So this is something I'm going to continue tracking out over the course of the weekend to see if those chances start increasing. Because like I mentioned and keep mentioning, this is the time of the year where we start seeing these disturbances start popping up a lot on our National Hurricane Center graphics and the maps. So definitely something that we want to keep monitoring here at North Mississippi Live Weather. But I appreciate all of y'all tuning in during the 6 o'clock broadcast. If you haven't downloaded the app, here are the QR codes. We appreciate all the support you've given us, and just appreciate giving y'all all the latest information that y'all need to know, not only for Mississippi, but maybe if you have family along the East Coast during hurricane season and severe weather season is approaching. It is a great app to have for any circumstance weather-wise here in Mississippi, but across the region. Our live shows, we will be live back here tonight at 10, but then it is now officially the weekend, so we will be back towards the 6 and 10 broadcast schedule for your Saturday and Sunday. Y'all sleep in, enjoy the rest of y'all's Friday. But I'll see y'all live back here tonight at 10, where we will have the results for the game, or not game of the week, the cheer squad of the week and band of the week. And of course, those highlights from the game of the week presented by Gabe Maynor. So I am very excited to see the results of those, see those videos with y'all live here tonight at 10.
For more than 100 years, First Choice Bank has provided dedicated community banking to North Mississippi. The banking products and services you need when you need them. At First Choice, you're our priority. Make First Choice your choice for banking.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/act now.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.